Joe Biden's presidential campaign saw an influx of donations, thanks in large part to some Hollywood and tech donors. The Biden Victory Fund, as it's called, raised $86.4 million in the second quarter. That's according to its filing with the Federal Election Commission. Joining us now is Yahoo Finance's senior columnist, Rick Newman. So, Rick, I'm curious how this compares with what President Trump has been able to amass during the same time period. What can you tell us?
Well, Trump is ahead, but Biden is catching up quickly. So remember, Trump did not have to run against a bunch of other Republicans in the primaries. So he was the only Republican presidential candidate raising money during all that time when Biden was competing against more than 20 others and Democratic donors were splitting their money. But since Biden has become the front runner, he's been catching up quickly. So if you pull it all together from all sources, including the outside super PACs, each candidate has raised over $300 million, and each of them has more than $100 million cash on hand. And I'm sure a lot more money is going to be flowing into each of these campaigns during the next 3 months.
Rick, optically, is it good for Biden to have these Hollywood backers?
Every Democrat has had these Hollywood backers. Hillary Clinton had them in 2016. And the funny thing, Brian, is if you just go back to 2016, you think that, the media barons and then Hollywood people who have such powerful messaging platforms would be able to persuade voters to go their way. And they didn't. Obviously, they didn't in 2016. So 2016 proves to us that having Hollywood among your biggest donors doesn't necessarily give you the election.
So want to ask you about some of these contributors who have already maxed out. I mean, we still have 4 months to go until the election, and 10 contributors maxed out to Biden's campaign. Is it better to have cash at this point? Should they have maybe coordinated and spread that out a little bit so that he'll be able to be well funded, throughout this campaign?
He's going to have plenty of money. So these contributors, we're talking about people like Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, Jeffrey Katzenberg, Meg Whitman. They both run Quibi, the new streaming platform, some others, Steven Spielberg and his wife. You can max out to the presidential campaign committees, but there's no maximum for super PACs. So if you want to just give $10 million, I mean, Sheldon Adelson, the casino magnate, has given up to $100 million to super PACs before. So the limit for giving to the campaign committee is around $600,000. And Biden wants that money. You'd rather have the money in hand sooner rather than later, for sure, because that lets you develop better spending plans. But you can donate to the super PACs as much as you want. And those super PACs, part of the rule is they're not supposed to coordinate with the actual campaign, but it's kind of a wink and nod situation, and they still end up running a lot of ads on either behalf of the candidate or trashing the other guy.
Rick, based on your reporting, is there any excitement starting to build for Biden?
Define excitement, Brian. I mean, it's well understood that Joe Biden does not generate the level of enthusiasm or just the sort of hard loyalty that Donald Trump generates among his base. But on the other hand, there are probably a lot of voters who wouldn't mind if things quieted down a little bit. If we didn't have a president always tweeting his grievances and attacking somebody, whether it's from the Rose Garden or the Oval Office every day. So, this election, right, as of now, it's shaping up as a referendum on President Trump. It is not about Joe Biden. President Trump wants it to be about Joe Biden. That's why he keeps calling him Sleepy Joe and trying to find some kind of negative attack on Biden that will stick. It hasn't really worked so far. And for now, as long as we're in a coronavirus pandemic and a terrible recession, it's going to be about Trump.
Hey, one quick last one before we let you go. We know this week Trump named a new head of his campaign. His deputy manager is now his campaign manager, Stepien. He's a veteran in the area. Is this his attempt to gain ground in those key battleground states, Rick, that he right now is losing to Biden?
Sure. I mean, the Trump campaign is obviously stumbling. If you go back to the Tulsa rally in June, he only got 1/3 of the audience he was hoping for. Brad Parscale was the campaign manager. He made the mistake of predicting that rally would be completely full. It wasn't. It was an embarrassment for Trump. So a lot of people at the time thought Parscale is toast, and it turns out he is toast. He hasn't been fired. He's been demoted, and the new guy, Bill Stepien, who was a deputy, as you pointed out, is now in charge. This is what happens when campaigns cannot get going. I mean, Trump actually did this in 2016. He changes personnel around a lot based on what was working or what wasn't. It would not surprise me at all, Alexis, if Trump changes campaign manager again and then again after that, because as we know, he's got an itchy trigger finger. When something goes wrong, heads typically roll in the Trump operation, and there could be more heads rolling.
All right, we will be watching. Rick Newman, thank you.